Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horn is your sip of chaga coffee. Those of you on the private road, yesterday we did a post on Bix Weir versus AI on silver conspiracy. So I went on ChatGPT and had a little fun and found out some really interesting, crazy stuff as it relates to silver manipulation, as it relates to who programmed the AI currently, the most popular AI ChatGPT today. Really interesting stuff because I got into a squirrely area for this AI program. The AI program actually invented different language to quote laws about the Silver Eagle program. Literally wrote the law number and said, from this law number, chapter or section F1, it says blah, 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 blah. In quotes. This is the AI. And I know that law backwards and forwards. And I'm like, that's not what it says. And I kept pushing AI until it admitted something that you wouldn't even not believe. Such a crazy world. Never believe anything anymore. The days of believing people are over. You should not have any stocks, bonds, cryptos on exchanges, metal held by anybody else. This is the end game, my friends. This is the end game where there will be no third party that stands up to what it needs to do. None. Not one. Even the best people. A lot of people invest in PSLV, this Sprott physical SLV-like. It's an ETF. So instead of holding the metal on their own, they invest it in like three layers deep in Sprott. I love Eric Sprott. He doesn't run it, by the way, anymore. But they're an upstanding citizen. It doesn't mean they're going to be able to deliver when they need to deliver. Do I think they have the metal? Yeah. Do I think the Canadian government's going to confiscate that metal? Absolutely, 100% when the banks fall down. That's 100% chance. Everything within the border. Every country's going to do that. That's how crazy it's going to be. You think the government of Canada is going to let rich people get richer by holding silver in a vault that they can very easily get to and say, nope, that's it. We need a new money for the people, and by the way, this is what we're using as money, gold and silver. And that will happen in the United States too. PSLV, not a chance. SLV, not a chance. No third parties. I've been screaming this forever. Really interesting stuff going on in silver. I know it doesn't show in the price. Don't get me wrong. I know it doesn't show in the price because it's still under the control of massive manipulation. 100% manipulation. 180 years of price suppression. I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about what is going to happen to the price of silver if it's ever freely traded, and when will it be freely traded? People laugh at me when I said silver's going 1-to-1 with gold easily. Easily. Silver's so much more important than gold. It is insane how much more important silver is than gold. And if it's hard to store, so be it. What a great problem to have, isn't it? When people say, "Oh my God, I have $1 million, Bix. I can't buy $1 million worth of silver and store it, but I can buy $1 million worth of gold and store it." What happens with gold and silver at the same price? Could you buy $1 million of silver and store it? Do you really want to buy silver when it's freely traded after 180 years of having the opportunity to buy silver when it's a fraction of its value? It just makes no sense to me. But that's the way I think. Something is going on in silver. Something massive. Massive, massive, massive. We can all see from all the reports and the Ted Butler stuff and everything that the major derivative silver short position by the commercials is dwindling down to zero. These are the main market price suppressors, is going down to zero, and then they will go long and instantly. Well, we saw what JP Morgan did when they took over the Bear Stearns silver short and they wanted to get all the weak hands in. What did they do? They put Bill Daley as Barack Obama's chief of staff. That's how important silver is. This is like right to the top of the United States of America, the silver shortage. And what happened? Bill Daley brought silver, and J.P. Morgan, with the help of the Treasury and the Fed, brought silver up from $20 to $50 in 2011, and then slammed it down literally overnight, destroying so many people's lives. And oh, by the way, starting the quote bear market in silver. It's such an insane world we live in. I'm going to show you a video clip of a company that I've talked about for many years now, long before it was named what it was, saying, yeah, we create shares out of thin air and throw them at the markets. We create liquidity, shares out of thin air. But here's what I want to talk about first. It has long been known, but not tested, that you can buy a COMEX contract and take delivery the very same day. That is in the bylaws of the COMEX. You can buy a COMEX contract today, the last day of trading for June. You can buy it and have it delivered today. That's part of the rules. For the June delivery, you can buy as many contracts as you want. There might be a limit. I'm not so sure. There was never a limit for J.P. Morgan, mind you. And I'll get to why this is so important, because you can buy, say, 20 million ounces of physical silver and have it delivered today, according to the rules. I think it's 3 days they have to get it to you, or it's 2 days. I mean, we're at the end of the June contract. Tomorrow is the first notification for July contract, which is a silver delivery month. So when I saw this for yesterday, J.P. Morgan stood for delivery of 33 contracts yesterday in the June contract. So J.P. Morgan went in, bought 170,000 ounces of silver, and said, I want immediate delivery in the June month. And somebody had to do it. Whoever sold them that contract had to pony up the metal, which is odd, right? Who was it? Advantage. Who is Advantage? Who is Advantage? First of all, Advantage is a tiny player. Right here, this is silver, and it looks like they've been delivering silver. This is the top part. They issued the silver pretty consistently every month, except here in March, where they had to buy 95 contracts. So I looked up Advantage, tiny commodity trading house, mostly corn and grains and stuff like that, agricultural. But they're also doing silver. I don't know why. They like to short silver. They're probably playing the game, trying to play the game, and they just got raked over the coals and had to provide 180,000 ounces of silver. Not a massive thing, but for a small company where silver is very hard to get. And who called them on it? J.P. Morgan Chase. J.P. Morgan customers, quote customers. I think they were testing out the rule that you can buy silver at any moment in time during the month and take delivery that day. And it looks like it worked. Very interesting. Another very interesting thing is that Sprott. Let's talk about Sprott, PSLV, the ETF that Eric Sprott had started. I think he sold it to somebody. But they had something very unusual happen on, what was it? Let's say right here, yesterday. Yeah. See this? They have about 175,000 ounces. Million. 175 million ounces in inventory. And look what happened. I don't know if this has ever happened before. It went from 175 to 174. 700,000 ounces were pulled out of SLV, which is unheard of. I don't know of a time ever before in the entire history of this thing, and I could go back each. They don't. Nobody takes silver out of PSLV. They do it out of SLV all the time. But PSLV? And I'm like, Now, clearly, over this thing's been around for 13 years, something changed recently. And we all know what we talked about a couple of weeks ago and what changed. Who owns Sprott? BlackRock bought a massive chunk of Sprott, 21 million ounces, turning it instantly into the largest holder of PSLV. 3 times the size of the next largest holder. So why did things change? Why did someone pull out 700,000 ounces out of PSLV? It had to be the new guy on the block and the biggest holder of PSLV, BlackRock. So BlackRock had to pull out 700,000 ounces of physical silver out of PSLV because they needed it for something else. Could it be deliveries? Could it be the saving of their lovely ETF SLV? They own SLV. It just struck me as very, very, very interesting. The very instant that BlackRock bought 21 million shares of PSLV, they are taking delivery of 700,000 ounces, which is, I think, would be 10%, because it would be 21 million shares. It's about a third. Each share counts as like a third of an ounce of silver. Very interesting, huh? Isn't that crazy? Why? There's so many clues pointing to the end of physical silver, your ability to buy it. Now, I know you can go, Andy Schectman has inventory. When I scream at people to buy from anybody, always buy inventory. Do not wait around. We cannot wait around for silver. We've waited around for silver for too long to be right at the end of the game and you be caught out because the person you bought your silver from couldn't deliver it. They say, "Oh yeah, it's coming in on a pallet tomorrow, and then we'll ship it out to you." No. As soon as they get the money and it clears, checks take a while to clear. If you wire money to a silver broker dealer, they should be able to deliver. If you're buying inventory, they should be delivered instantly that day. They should pack it up and send it to you. That's why I'm always like, start with your local guy. Buy silver from your local guy, because that's who you're going to be selling your silver to, most likely. So yeah, the end of silver manipulation is very, very close. Now, what happens? Can the criminals take the price of silver and do what they did with oil? Can they put the price of silver at minus $40? Absolutely. It's a click of a mouse to do something like that. Is it criminal? Absolutely. You want to see what it looks like? Right here. Look at that. Click of a mouse. The mouse was clicked right here and then really clicked when it hit $16 and then poof, minus 40. This is oil from April 21st, 2020. How is this even possible, Bix? We are living in a fake exchange world. Nothing is real. Nothing. That's why it's so important to have physical silver in your own possession. Cryptos in your own possession. Nothing's going to survive the banking collapse except what you hold in your hand. And then we start fresh. And if you don't believe me that they can do that they can just sell like stocks and bonds. You've heard of naked shorting, meaning people short stocks and bonds without holding the physical. They're supposed to have access or hold a physical amount of a share. They're supposed to have ownership of a share at a brokerage house, supposedly. And they can only short so many of a stock. We saw it with GameStop and all that, and they tried to do it with physical silver, but the wrong way to go about it with physical silver. But I've been screaming for how long now? 20 years that they create physical. They create shares out of thin air. They create silver derivatives out of thin air. Literally. And there was a company I was screaming that they're trading trillions of dollars per day in all these fake shares. The company at the time was called EWT LLC, and I did a big report on it on the Road to Ruta back like 15 years ago about. You can still find it at roadtoruta.com. EWT LLC. I think it's called Who's the Little Man Behind the Curtain. Let's find out. You can always go to Road to Ruta and click on search. Who's the... I think that could be it. Who's the big brother? Da, da, da. Who's the little man? Tell you what, we'll make it easy. Let's go EWT, LLC. And we have 46 articles on the company called EWT LLC. Here it is. Who's the little man behind the curtain? 2008, I wrote this, so 15 years ago. And I exposed EWT LLC, who they are, letters to the SEC. I used to talk to the SEC lawyers all the time, and catch them in their lies, amazing amount of lies. And then they just stopped responding. So I went through an entire, connected it to the road to rid all this, but they showed up in authorized participants. I'm like, who is EWT LLC? EWT LLC, they called it like Elliott wave theory, but they would use the Elliott wave theory tech guys to smash and short and destroy prices. They changed their name to a company called Virtu Financial and went public. Virtu Financial is a high-frequency trading expert. They create shares out of thin air. Everybody knows it, but they don't admit it until today, yesterday. Doug Sifu, the CEO of Virtu Financial, here's what he had to say about creating shares out of thin air.
To what we call size improvement. And we've been very upfront and very transparent about providing that level of data. So what that means is in the 8,000 names, to the extent there's not liquidity on a lit exchange, fundamentally the wholesalers are providing infinite liquidity at the NBBO or the inside price. So
infinite liquidity. How is it possible to short the price of oil so much that it goes negative 40? Negative $40 from infinite liquidity. Infinite liquidity.
If we get an order for 1,000 shares in Reg NMS stock that no one's ever heard of, and there's 200 shares on NASDAQ in New York, we fill out 1,000 shares at that inside price. That's meaningful liquidity.
It's not meaningful liquidity. That's criminality. That is illegal. They're trading shares that they don't own, have no way to own them. Only thing they do is use that infinite liquidity with computers and computer programs to rig prices up, down, or sideways. These guys made a profit every day for like 8 years before they went public, which is impossible in a trading house. But they did it by providing infinite liquidity.
55% of the orders that we received, Bob, we provide size improvement.
55% of the orders they receive, they create fake shares for and trade them and throw them around like they're sacks of hay, sacks of rice. He is admitting they're lying and cheating and stealing. When the music stops and you have your share of Apple Computer, how many people own that exact same share? A dozen? Nobody knows. Look at the volumes. Look at the volumes of silver traded every day. You wonder, how do they trade 500 million ounces every day on the COMEX if there's literally 800 million ounces is all that they mine every year? And yet every day they're trading these? This is fake. 100% computer rigged fake shares. And I go into the history of Virtu Financial, a.k.a. EWT LLC. And who was it? Vinnie Viola. Vinnie Viola was the counterpart of Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff had a huge price rigging computer operation on the second floor of Madoff Investments. He wasn't just, it's a $50 billion Ponzi scheme. It was like $500 billion, and it wasn't a Ponzi scheme. It was a rigging operation to pay off the deep state. So here we have the CFO or CEO of Virtu Financial. That name just irks me every time. There's nothing virtuous about Virtu Financial. Admitting on television that they create, here's the quote, if someone wants to buy 1,000 shares and only 200 are available, we will sell them 1,000. We call it unlimited liquidity. That's crazy.
Complete, as he calls it, an auction environment. Who's going to provide that? The liquidity fairy?
Nobody's going to provide it. So the price goes up, you idiot. The price should go up on things that are undervalued. Who's going to provide the liquidity? Who's going to lie, cheat, and steal? It is amazing what these assholes have gotten away with. And that's exactly what's happening with SLV, with, and obviously the silver. Let's take a look at the volume, total volume. Volumes are low, 7,000, which is 350 million ounces. 72,000 contracts is 353 million ounces. That traded yesterday. And look at this one. I love the spikes. That was 800 million ounces, over 800 million ounces traded on June 20th. This is insanity. The definition of insanity. Trading phantom shares. And this guy's bragging about it. It's insane. I am having a conversation with Jenny. It's been a couple weeks, and we are going to talk about the future of silver again. She's got a lot of stuff she wants to talk about. I got a lot of stuff I want to ask her about. If you haven't had a chance to check out these discussions, they will blow your mind. Last time we talked to Jenny about silver, they were in the process of doing this handover of the silver short position, trying to take JP Morgan off and put another entity on. Clearly, it's Bank of America's knee deep in this. We're going to dive down into Bank of America's silver position, see how much trouble they're in, or do they know what they're doing? Ted Butler seems to think these guys are just idiots. I think they're being used probably by Warren Buffett and Elon Musk. Two people I think absolutely know what's going on in silver and are taking as much physical out of the market as possible. About 100 million ounces goes out of London every month. Now, who is it that's taking that delivery? And these are all transferred over from the COMEX. So go check it out. Go to roadtoroad.com. I'll be posting that later today on the private road. If you want to join the private road, I am giving away the Silver Ruta coin, the coolest coin ever made. Go check it out. Click on subscribe today, and that's all I got for you. Keep an eye on your physical silver. Get it in your possession. You need it, and you don't have a local guy, contact Andy Scheckman at Miles Franklin. Send him an email, info at milesfranklin.com, and buy what they have in inventory. I scream, and pay with a wire. Don't pay with a check. It takes like 2 weeks to clear. Pay with a wire, and then you can ship it right to you. This is Bix. I'll talk to you guys later.